What happens when creators who worked on Netflix hits, Marvel blockbusters start building in virtual worlds? Today, we're talking two creators who represent a fascinating trend I've seen: traditional media veterans expanding into immersive content. One has Netflix and Disney Plus credits, but is now building transmedia universes. The other created graphics for Iron Man and Transformers and now teaches interactive development to an audience over 150K on YouTube. They both went through Meta's exclusive Creator Academy and might surprise you what they're building next. This episode is about expansion, not escape, and why the smartest creators are adding immersive skills to their toolkit. Welcome to Pixel Pushers, the show where we bring the best game devs, creators, builders, and storytellers who are pushing the limits of pixels you experience every day. Whether it's the groundbreaking social worlds, innovative gameplay, or unforgettable stories, we're here to deep dive into the minds shaping the future of gaming and the experiences you love to play. What's good, everyone? My name is Deepak. I was former DevRel for Roblox and Fortnite, and now I'm here, developer advocate at Meta. But more importantly, I have amazing guests on the show. First up, you know him from before, episode before, our great HaZ. And this guy is absolutely redefining storytelling. We're talking about Netflix features again, Disney shows, but here's where it gets wild. He's founded his own company, Beyond the Pixels, and it's creating both AstroBurn as both a game launching in 2026, mark your calendars, wishlisted, was everything you have to do in the Steam algorithm, do everything. And he's also developing a TV series using those same assets that's currently in development. This madman is pioneering transmedia like nobody else and using Hollywood skills and building entire universes that expand every platform you can find. And our second guest, who I only recently met, is Jonathan Winbush, the most generous genius in our space. The legend went from creating graphics for Iron Man and Transformers on Warner Brothers to now teaching hundreds of thousands of people on YouTube. He created an episode, would you call it, or a course calling Creating the Unreal, the holy grail for leveling up motion graphic artists. Johnson's not just crossing over, but he's building a bridge for everyone else. As he likes to say, he likes to dabble in a little bit of everything, but I think that's also what gives him that creative spirit. So, guys, what's up? How are you guys been?
Good,
What up?
man.
What up? How you doing? Everything's good on this side.
I knew you had to do the one up, dude. I was gonna say if you
Yeah,
didn't do it, I'll call you up on it.
it's like the people often say it's like the Simpsons, right? Where they tell Bart to like say the line. Because every time I do a public experience, if I don't say the line, then people get disappointed. And I'm just like, all right, I have to start with the what up. So
You
Absolutely.
created the path. Now you have to walk the path every time.
I know I trapped myself. I did a talk the other day, and I just was like, "Hey, I'm Jonathan Winbush," and someone's like, "Do the line" out in the audience. I'm like, "Oh man." I didn't. It was that like an event. I didn't even think they like knew who I was, and it's just like, oh man,
Yeah, of
That's
course
when
they
that's when you know you've made it to a point now where people ask you to do that line. Yeah, I think you've hit that
That's
magic
true.
possibly.
moment.
No one asked me for a line, Jonathan. They just said, like, shut up.
Yeah,
Bring out the real talent.
no, it's all good. I appreciate it. So it's all love at the end of the day. Definitely grateful for the position that we're all able to be in. At the end of the day, we're creators. We get to do what we enjoy, and not a lot of people can say that. So definitely grateful for all these opportunities and for everybody that wants me to say what up, what up. Definitely love all y'all out there. That means they're watching.
It's all about your brand, though, right? I mean, you've done a really stellar job in building a brand, and you've done it so naturally that it's not like you forced it; it just developed over time. And I think that's the thing about being a creator today. Whether you're making video games, films, or any kind of content, even music, or even a book writer, you gotta build your brand. It's all about the brand, you know.
You're right. I always struggle with that, but
Yes,
you're
Deepak.
right. I struggle with it, but you're right. Even Instagram, right? Like I see people on Twitter, and like the people who do the best have like that person's a troll. That's their brand. That person
Yeah.
loves to give like tech updates. That's their brand. Deepak says random things at random times. Like that's not a brand, but that's.
That could be your brand.
But more importantly, I love y'all's brands. But like just being around you, like you guys have fun spirits. That's why I wanted you on the show. Like one, it totally makes sense. You guys are friends to me because you guys have different types of creative energy, but it's the same. Like you have the same goals in trying to like explore these immersive spaces. So that's what I want to sort of get into because I think a lot of people can learn from y'all of like what it means to sort of be now a new emerging creator. Because I think people are like, no, I'm going to stick to script, I'm going to stick to being an influencer. But really, it's you guys are this next level of like creation. I think.
Yeah, I always said that HaZ was I think what kind of drew me to HaZ was he's the only other person I ever met that was as crazy as I am. And that kind of just, you feel that energy, right? Because people always tell me, they're like, man, how do you do it? Like, because I'm all, like we said at the top, like, I'm always all over the place. Like, I'm just, like a dog that sees a squirrel is just like, oh, let me look at this shiny thing, look at this. And you're just all over the place. And then when I met HaZ, he was like on that same frequency. And I'm just like, man, this dude's nuts. I love it. So,
That's exactly it. And I always say this to everyone, but like I remember like how I met Jonathan. In fact, we met online, right? It was originally online.
yeah.
And I was transitioning from like filmmaking, live action, and I was starting to look at Unreal. And this is like 2018, 2019, maybe 2019. And I was just I need some tutorials, man. I just went to YouTube and Winbush just had these tutorials, and I started just watching all these tutorials. And then like I don't know, because it was an event back in the day, right? Winbush, like where there was like a small group of people. There was like yourself, there was Corey, there was Matt Workman, William Fulster. There's a bunch of us, and they're like, Gabrielle. They're all on this Facebook group, like the virtual production Facebook group, and we all just got to know each other from that. And then I met you at an event. Was it SIGGRAPH, or there was an event we met?
Oh yeah, in
And then
Vancouver. That's right. Yeah, I forgot I
Vancouver,
met you at
yeah,
Vancouver first.
that's
Yeah,
it, yeah. And I came out like, hey, we felt like we knew each other already, and then we end up meeting each other again in South Korea, at all places, right?
yeah. South Korea, then London. That's why I
South
said
Korea.
we're all over the
Yeah,
place.
and that's how the friendship built. Yeah, it
Yeah,
was
yeah.
over time, man. Yeah.
We got lost in South Korea. I remember it to this day. That
Oh
that level
yeah,
B2. We were like in
level
some
B
type of
two.
weird mall. It's just like all this stuff was just compiled everywhere, and it was almost like a horror movie. Like we couldn't figure out how to get out of this place. It was
Yeah, we kept going in this loop. We're like, this is definitely a horror film.
just
What have you guys ever worked on something together?
I mean, we've been on each other's podcasts. That's one way of working together.
Yeah, yeah.
But I've also been quite, you know, gracious the fact that Winbush was involved in very early playtesting of my game AstroBurn. And most people just play test and go, yeah, it's cool, man. And he was like, no, man, I've play tested it. It's some notes. I've got some feedback. And, that already is a great way of collaborating. I guess we will end up working on an actual project together. Maybe we both direct something together or something. But just supporting each other, that goes a long way, more than just working on a collab. So yeah, I feel like I
yeah.
collab with Winbush all the time.
No, that makes total sense. Like, I had a friend. They're launching their demo, or they just launched their demo. He just asked for feedback. I'm like,
Right.
that's what they need more than like
Yeah.
anything else. Someone will keep it real, but say it kindly. Uh,
Yeah, exactly. But I mean, that's actually a really good way of kind of segueing into the world of community, right? Because every one of us here is working in an industry where community is very, very important. I mean, obviously, Deepak, you being at Meta, but like Winbush, your whole YouTube community and everything you do on TikTok is, and especially the new series we're doing, where you're playing a bunch of retro games, which I love, by the way.
Yeah.
That's building community, and what I'm doing with my game builds. And I think community is such an important component to content creation now. Back in the day, it was like, I'm going to make some cool stuff and then we do the community. Now it's like, you got to think community from day one. And that's, if you look at things on Fortnite, look at stuff that's happening in Meta Horizon and Roblox and every single UGC platform, community is what drives it. And even video games, like, we have things like early access, and, gaming have been doing that for a long time, building community, right? Yeah, and that just it's a natural thing. People gravitate towards creators. They want to get feedback. They feel part of a journey of a creation, and that spans from gaming to YouTube content and everything.
so that sort of leads me maybe into my question, right? Like, is that why you sort of wanted to expand beyond Hollywood into these types of like worlds, and like why?
100%. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm gonna I'm gonna say it. I'm gonna get cancelled, but it doesn't matter. Film and TV have a really hard time in grasping the idea of community. You know, the idea is make a content, throw a ton of P&L spending on it, and hope the audience will come there and put a really big name star on it. People are going to guarantee to watch it. It's kind of like you have to watch this because Brad Pitt's in this movie. Whereas what I love about gaming is the most boldest ideas. Like usually in film, is like this movie is this meets this. Whereas in gaming, it's not. People don't want to see another version of a Call of Duty. They want to see really weird, bold stuff, which is why indie gaming is such an incredible thing. It's probably one of the gaming genres that's always like doing really well on Steam. You know, if you look at the Steam Next Fest, it isn't like the big Baldur's Gate that is in Steam Next Fest. It's the indies, right? So, and that's because the community feels like they can play a part in it. They can help shape the game. They feel connected to the developers. You know, if you look at like Baldur's Gate is a good example, even though Baldur's Gate is what you call like a AAA game, you know, Baldur's Gate is like, if you look at their TikTok channel, it's hilarious. They take the mick out their own stuff because they know that's what the community wants, right? They know that, you know, that's what people gravitate to. So I feel like film and TV, especially Hollywood, could learn a lot from that. And some are, but it's such a legacy. It doesn't feel progressive. Whereas the gaming industry is so progressive. Every year they're finding new ways to like mess with your head with new game mechanics and new ways to market things. You know, and I feel like that's one of the big reasons why I felt like gaming is such an extension to film TV as a whole as transmedia.
Yeah, I would say it's not even just Hollywood. Like, I literally just spoke at a fashion event. I don't even know why they asked me. I know nothing about fashion, but they asked me to come speak at this like LA Fashion Week event on like how to merge the gap between fashion and, you know, like next level technologies and stuff. And actually, you guys owe me a check because I did give Meta Horizon a big shout out on stage at that time there. But the big thing is, same thing as HaZ was saying, like with fashion apparels, they feel like, okay, we'll hire like Snoop Dogg or Lindsay Lohan to wear our clothes and everybody's going to wear our stuff because they see them with it, right? And it's like, it doesn't work like that anymore. Like maybe in the 80s and the 90s, maybe, but nowadays it's like, how can you build a community around what you're trying to sell? And that's the type of thing that I was telling them. I was like, you know, I grew up in the 80s and 90s, hip hop culture, but the way the artists kind of grew up was you became big in your local community, in your neighborhood, and then those people advocated for you, and that's when you start to expand, and then that's when you get seen by the record labels and everything else. So I'm like, same thing here, like grassroots. Like if you have an Instagram account, like I say, just like Tommy Hilfiger, for example, like, okay, you have a presence on Instagram, right? If you build out like the world and Meta Horizon, then your community that you build on Instagram, you could then I can't even think of the word, but you then navigate them over to Meta Horizon, and then you can start incubating your community over there. And then once you have the people inside of Meta Horizon advocating for you, they'll spread the word out for you. And then that's when you start really seeing traction. It's not about just taking celebrities to throw them in your clothes. It's like, you got to start at the grassroots and build excitement. And then that excitement is just going to explode out to everything else.
Of course, I agree with you guys. Like, this is such good.
No comeback from that, Deepak.
No
Wow.
comeback. It was
Yeah,
more
thumbs like the burst in the check. I had a lot of people look at Horizon yesterday.
I believe you, like, because that's the. You guys said it earlier in our pre-talk. Like, there's marketing shifted where because maybe they're more digitally native, maybe right. They're exposed to so much content, right? So they want a relationship beyond the content with the people who make it,
Yeah.
people who play it,
Yeah.
and the people who like produce content from it, right? So like we never lost our social threads.
Right.
And that's where our marketing used to be. We could like you said it so well, like they could just throw it over and it used to work because it was just the only thing out there.
Yeah.
But now it's like, no, you have to like tell me your mission. Tell me, well, be entertaining, like, or
Right.
like your value product. Not that they say it in those product terms, but like they're like dance, and like, okay, dance a little bit. But yeah.
But it's where your audience at as well, right? Like if you think about it, like in like the 80s, 90s, I remember in the UK we only had like 5 channels, right? BBC One, 2,
Right.
and Channel 4, and actually it's 4, and then we had Channel 5, and then we had the cinema. So everyone goes to the cinema to guarantee to watch the latest movie, right? That was the place. There was, and you go to a game shop like HMB or Tower Records, and you buy a physical disc or a cartridge, and you put it in there, and you've invested in that thing, and that's it. Whereas flash forward today, you have multiple plethora of streamers, and you look at one streaming site like a Netflix. There's just so much to pick from. Like me and my partner, we spend at least half an hour trying to find something. And then when we do find something, we're like, this thing better be fucking good because we've invested half an hour. Do you know what I mean? And or sometimes there's the binge culture where within 10 minutes or sometimes 30 seconds, if you're not interested, skip. Right? Whereas back in the day, you go to that cinema, you are committed to that movie from beginning, like the trailers, right to the end. You're committed. You go to Blockbuster and rent a VHS or a DVD. You put that in. You're committed. There is none of this skip for skip to the next film. And that's culture. That's audience culture. And you look at gaming today, like gaming, like Steam has this thing I've recently learned, right? Steam has a thing where there's a refund policy. Like if it is only works on games that is less than, I think, 4 hours gameplay or something.
Yeah.
And if someone plays the game and they're like, I don't like it within 5 minutes, they can get a refund. They imagine how much that hurts a developer, right? So this is why I think we have games like Elden Ring, which is 80 freaking plus hours. But again, that's culture mind shift. So as a creator, we have to be so mindful of audience habits because we're building content for them. It's harder. People say it's easy to make content today. Technologically, accessibility, 100% so much easier to make stuff. But it's harder if you think about it because of the way the audiences are, the competition, the saturation of the market.
Yeah.
And that's tough, and that's where you have to make smart choices and understand the market rather than just be focus on making cool pixels.
It's tough because there's no more gatekeeping, right? Like before, the media used to be the gatekeeper, so they would tell you what's the new hotness this summer, or what's the new hotness at a moment. As to now, it's social media, right? So it's like anybody could tell you anything, and there's so much information coming from all different angles. It's like you have to spend more time cultivating our audience because they have a whole plethora of different places they could get the information from. It's not just the 5 channels on cable anymore.
I just got off a call and I was we're looking at data and stuff and things, and like I was trying to explain like traditional game development, right? I was like, you don't understand, like some of these people, they're just so focused on their code. They're like, oh, we have to get them to market. I'm like, you could try, but like you can't necessarily get a developer like go on social media and use these templates. Like it just doesn't work that way. So I hear you, but I think like part of the struggle. So like that sort of leads into my question, like, what are the opportunities you guys see in this immersive content, both in terms of like social media, but also in terms of development? Because I think for you two, you always combine it, but I think people need to hear the advantages of both and the opportunities.
Yeah, I think whenever I'll start with the social media part because this is something I speak to students about a lot. That I mean, this is just the times that we live in, right? Like your social media presence is important. Where a lot of artists and creatives, they are introverts. I'm an introvert myself, but I realize the importance of getting yourself out there and getting that exposure, right? So first and foremost, you do want to have a presence on social media because then you could control the narrative about yourself instead of somebody else being able to control that narrative about you. But when you do have a presence on social media, then that exposes you to so much, and then you can start building out these other experiences, and you're sharing that process along the way. Like HaZ, he'll share the process of as he's building out AstroBurn. Like I watch those videos, those short clips that he's posting, because I'm interested in that stuff. Like I never made a game before, but it's interesting seeing somebody that you follow, the steps that they're going through, and then maybe that will inspire somebody else to take those same steps. But as to the different technologies, like these days, like we were just at the Meta Connect conference, and you guys were showing us like the AI assistant developer programming tools and stuff like that. Like I'm not a programmer by trade. I'm an artist. I could build out worlds. I could do 3D creation. Programming was always the hardest aspect for me, but with the AI assistant tools that we have at our disposals these days, we could truly be independent developers because now the barrier to entry is a lot lower, which means there's going to be a lot more saturation out there because everybody could do it even more. But at the same time, if you did cultivate that social media presence, then that puts you 2 steps ahead of everybody else, right? Because people are more adept to see what myself or HaZ has to say, because we do have that following, as opposed to somebody that didn't take the time to build that following and might have like 10 followers or something. It's not fair. It sucks, I know, but I mean, that's just the rules of the game these days,
Yeah, no, absolutely. Like, even with the coding side, like, I mean, I code, but I'm not like a hardcore coder. But Winbush may disagree there because he's seen my code on screen. But I mean, look, I think what you said, Winbush, is spot on, dude. Like, the barrier to entry has lowered thanks to AI, right? Everyone is able to code. Like, for example, when I was making AstroBurn, I'm making AstroBurn, like, when there's a lot of code involved, right? Even I'm using something called GDevelop, which isn't C++, isn't the hardcore nitty gritty coding. It's still code. I have to code, right? I need to have conditional events that happen to make things trigger. I need to store stuff in variables and data storage, and I sound like a coder already, right? But all of that was because what I not doing. I'll give you an example, right? So I had this template of some shoot 'em up game. I'm like, I don't understand how this works. So I screenshotted that section of the code, put it in ChatGPT, and said, "Hey, I'm trying to understand how to do this, this, and that. In this code, can you help me understand in layman what that code is doing?" Dude, 15 seconds, it broke it down. I'm like, oh, I get it. And then I was able to go in and make my spaceship do some really cool stuff. Now, if I didn't have ChatGPT, I'd be like struggling to understand code because I didn't come from, like, I didn't go to school to do coding. I just kind of picked it up through scripting and Maya and Shake and so on. If I didn't have that, I'll either be struggling big time or I would have given up. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
forget it.
Or you'll be going on the forums and getting laughed at by the programmers. They're like, oh, look
yeah,
at this.
yeah, like, Gav, you rookie.
Yeah, I've definitely been there. It's like I ask a question and they're like, oh, who's it? I'm like, all right, never mind. I give up. It's like, I don't want to know anymore. I quit. It's like,
but that's the thing, right? And you can easily fall into that. But I feel like with technology, we have to, especially AI, it's allowed us to like really take those bold steps, understand things, because everyone works differently. Everyone's mindset is very differently. Like, and that's one thing I noticed when making a game was like the way I would achieve something, like the way I do power-ups or pick up power-ups, the way I structure it is very much like an artist, right? I look at things in a very different logic compared to someone that doesn't do art, doesn't do design, but just all it does is 1 0 code. They'll look at it much different. And what I've noticed, especially when I start working with some like external developers to help me on my game, but also having worked on AAA games like Dune and all these other games, you start to notice like the programmers write a lot of code because that's just their mindset. Whereas designers are like trying to find the most efficient way. Go, whoa, I don't want to look at that code. I just want to have an event that does this, this, and that, and I want to work in a node chart or something, right? Because that makes more sense. Yeah, and that's just the mindset thing. So the other thing also, just to reflect what Winbush said, is the whole social media side of things as well, like sharing. And then the whole sharing is caring is really important. But sharing for me, like and I'm sure you're the same, Winbush, as well, by the way. I'm pretty sure this is the case. But like, if I didn't do all this sharing, and when I say sharing, I just did it because I just wanted to like get it out there. Say, hey, look what I figured out. Check this out. It was not. Yeah. It was more that as opposed to I'm going to teach you, I'm going to school you. It was more like, check this out. Because I was doing a lot of that, companies reach out. That, hey, I just saw your video about how you did this. And back then it was Unreal Engine I was doing. Like, I saw you do this cinematic in Unreal. Well, we're looking for a cinematics director. Would you come in and have a chat? That would never have happened because I wouldn't have thought about applying to work for a game company to direct cinematics. I would never have thought of that. So putting myself out there, but in a way that isn't say, hey, I'm awesome. More like, hey, there's this thing I figured out. I want to share it to the world. It's rough. Probably doesn't mean anything, but let me just show you how I did that. That goes a long way. And that's the power of putting yourself out there.
And that there's a lesson in that, because a lot of people, like, I mean, I'm sure you get it as well. They'll say like, oh, Winbush, you're lucky. You got to do this, that, and the third. But it's like, okay, even like, I don't believe in luck, right? But even if luck was real, you put yourself in that position to take advantage of getting lucky. So if you didn't put yourself out there saying like, hey, look what I did, those companies would have never found you to begin with. And then, there goes your luck. Like, you would have never been able to have that opportunity. So I tell people a lot of times, like, yeah, I might be lucky, but I put myself in position to take advantage of these opportunities. And luck or no luck, I mean, you have to put yourself out there, or else nobody's going to find you.
That's the thing. You can be the most talented creator, the most talented person. You may have created the holy grail of a new genre in movies or anything, but if no one knows about it, it's pointless. I always get this thing where people go, "Oh, I had the idea for this game like 5 years ago, man. Oh, I had that idea." Yeah, but the difference is, it's not whether who has the most original idea. Because there's this theory I have where I think a lot of people have a similar idea across globally, but the idea is who gets there first. That's the point. Who puts it out first? So that's why I tell every creator, if you have an idea or something, everyone's, yeah, but if they steal my idea, dude, it's pointless thinking this way. You may as well put it out there, and if someone rips off, someone rips it off. But hey, you have something online said it. Hey, you came up with that. You shared it. So I feel like there's a lot of this. And yeah, I was that as well when I was really young. I was like, oh, it's not ready yet, man. It's not ready to share to the world yet, man. It's got perfect. Who cares? Like, I've put stuff out which is like my first Unreal Engine stuff. Like, don't Google it, but like I did some really, really shonky stuff back in Unreal 4. But it doesn't matter. That wasn't the point. The point is, I wasn't trying to go up against Blur or something. I was just like, I've learned Unreal, guys. Check this out. And then you kind of learn, right? And it's really nice for followers now to look back at my previous work. In fact, I've had this comments like a week ago. Someone commented on one of my videos called Battlesuit, which I did in 2018 in Unreal 4.12, I think it was. Someone found that video and goes, hey, man, that's a really cool animation. It's amazing how far you've come from that. I'm like, yeah. That is cool. It's like there's like a paper trail or some kind of thread showing how you've progressed over time, and people acknowledge that, and it feels great, isn't it? And I feel like that's another thing that's worth. You're kind of leaving some kind of historic trail of your work.
Yeah, it's a time capsule.
Yeah, time capsule. That's it. Yeah.
Well, you say like it's you gotta put in the skills, you gotta put in that self promotion. But one thing you guys don't that I actually like about y'all is that you guys are also educators too. So like even though you're like put yourself in the right position, right, Jonathan? But like you teach also others. Why add that? If I was just hearing that first part, like I wouldn't even know to ask you an education question, right? Like why do you get into that space as well? How does that help your ecosystem? Why do you want to help others?
Yeah, a lot of that. I never went out to seek to become an educator. It all kind of came by accident, right? Because I remember being like an intern and like a junior artist and stuff like that. Like that, my superiors were always helping me out, in the artist bullpen. Like if I had issues, they were always there, and they kind of helped cultivate me as an artist and help me to excel. So I always believed in passing it forward. Like if you have any type of information that you can share, no matter how big or small it is, like just always be sharing, because you never know who's going to receive it on the other end and who could benefit from it, right? So what I used to do whenever, especially back then before like GPU rendering was a thing, like CPU rendering, you would take like days to render stuff, right? So I'm always thinking of like little shortcuts, or if I'm problem solving in 3D, I would actually like screen capture my work session if I figure something out. And that way I kept the archive of like all these problems that I solved, right? So if somebody hit me up back then, it was on like AOL Instant Messenger. Was it AIM? People used to like hit me up and they say like, hey, Winbush, I'm having trouble figuring this out or whatever. I'm like, oh yeah, I figured that out like 2 months ago. Let me send you this little video clip that I already made about it. And it got to some point to where people are like, how come you just don't put this stuff on YouTube? And I'm an introvert. I don't know. I didn't really want to be out there like that, but enough people had asked that, I started putting stuff out there on YouTube. And yeah, the community response at first was great. Like a lot of people were like, hey, you helped me get through my job, or I was having this same exact problem like 3 weeks ago, and I wish I would have had this video. So that kind of urged me to just, every time I figured something out, I just kept putting videos up there more and more. And then it just came to the spot to where it is today. Like people just look at my YouTube channel almost like an encyclopedia. So I don't go viral, but I come up in the searches, right? So if someone's having an issue, they'll type it in, then my videos will pop up, which I think that's a lot more beneficial than going viral. Like a lot of people are like, why don't you try to hit the latest trends? Like the newest version of XYZ just came out. Why don't you have a video? And it's like, it's not helping anybody, right? Like I feel like I'd rather put the time in to help people figure something out, even if it's like 2 years down the road. My video will pop up if they're having that issue, and that's that's what I really like about my YouTube channel.
That's the time capsule there, bro. That's
Yeah,
what we're talking about, right? Absolutely, man.
Encyclopedia Britannica.
Yeah.
You put a lot of things together for me that I was personally struggling with. Like Like when I watch like a filmmaker, right? They usually do a lot of also how to as well, because that's what gets searched. And then that was
Yeah.
the thing. Even though I don't do it, this is another story for another day. But like, oh, like it's all about the algorithm and searching. Like you're anticipating what they're searching for. So viral is more of the moment,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
you get lucky, or some people are very good at it. But yeah, but really, it's about like, are you anticipating the needs of what's next on the feed or what people are googling?
I think
Yeah,
Yeah.
value is the big thing. Like when I was starting my YouTube journey, like God, it's like over a year ago or something, right? I remember having this conversation with Winbush. Like Winbush was the first person that I just messaged. I'm like, I'm starting this YouTube journey. Like, yeah, you kind of came on as my mentor. I probably didn't ask you to be my mentor, but you just were there
Nah,
for me,
all
which is
good.
amazing. So respect. But like we both started to realize that trying to hit the latest trend didn't bring any value to anything. I remember I was doing all of these like promotion that people would send me products and I'll promote it and stuff. And it was cool because I had really cool product and it was really enjoyable to a point. The adrenaline was great. And then I'll just look back and I'll do a video about Unreal or something. And I find that there's way more engagement, not as much views as the product that I'm promoting, because obviously the product has a lot of promotional push from the product company, right? But there wasn't getting much views. I mean, much engagement on the product videos, just like loads of subscribers and stuff. Whereas I do a breakdown of video or I'm doing a development diary, I get loads of engagement, right? And then I start to notice, holy crap, engagement is where it's at. It isn't really about how many subs you have. And then when you start to like look at like in granular level, look at your analytics, you're like, holy crap, like it's all about the value of the content. And it can be anything. Like for me, it's making games, talking about retro games, and similar to Winbush, actually, like just sharing our creation, right? But then you see other channels out there, like there's someone out there talking about, how she puts on her makeup or the best eyeshadow to use or whatever it is. It doesn't matter. The point is there's a value to it, a value to a human being that's helping them get something, that's helping them solve a problem. That's the power of good content. But there are another flip side of content, which is viral. People like just like buying tons of subs and filming random stuff and hoping to hit something really high. And it's just so random. And again, there's nothing wrong in that. But I guess it depends as a creator. You have to ask yourself, what is it you're trying to achieve? What is it? The question of why, right? Why do you want to do what you do? And I think that's super important. And I feel like today's generation maybe possibly don't ask that. They're like, how do I get 1 million views? Great, I'm gonna do something and put it online. You know?
I'm actually going to end on that note because that was like a mic drop.
Don't end on that note.
Can't stop me. This is what the generation you told me needs to learn. Like we end on good, powerful value statements. I do want to do rapid fire and bring you back on some other time because there's so many different topics. But I love that we went down the sort of like, what does it mean to be like a next gen like marketer, and why that matters still to development as an artist or a programmer. So I love that.
Now, before you hit the rapid fire, because this is what I tell a lot of people lately when they ask these questions, and I say like this stuff isn't new. Like if you look at Peter Jackson, he laid the blueprint. Even like James Cameron before that. If you I've done a lot of stuff in home entertainment, right? Because when you make a movie, yeah, the box office matters, but they make most of the revenue on the back end when they used to sell DVDs and Blu-rays and stuff, right? So I look at Peter Jackson because, yeah, the Lord of the Rings, the original trilogy was big, but I was at university at that time. And I remember that everybody would get the box sets because of the behind the scenes that was included with it. And that's almost like social media these days, right? Like, yes, you have your end product, but people are more engaged with how it was actually created. And I would see people cite more the behind the scenes of Lord of the Rings than the actual movie itself. Like people would actually have like screenings at their apartments and stuff after class because they're like, oh, we got to finish watching because he put like hundreds of hours together on these Blu-rays. Like it's nuts. But I would just say like, look at Peter Jackson because he was doing this in the early 2000s. Like, yeah, there was no YouTube back then, or it's not what it was, but hitting those personalized moments like that brought personality to the end product. I feel like it was authentic. Like he was just happy to share the filmmaking process.
Even from an indie point of view, though, Gareth Edwards, when I saw his movie Monsters, that's what propelled him. it wasn't so much the movie that what everyone was talking about, it was the making of, because he
Yeah.
was a visual effects artist that went out, got a camera and shot something really low budget and did all the visual effects himself, and he documented the entire process. I mean, and that's from, there's there's the Peter Jacksons and there's the Matrix, and then you've got indie developers, and there's another guy, Andy Samberg, I think his name is, horror director. He's just done a film called Until Dawn, based on the video game. Go to his go to his Instagram channel. He's a Hollywood filmmaker. He started from an indie, basically Swedish Hollywood filmmaker, lives in LA, and he's constantly making stuff in his backyard, like film stunt gags and trickery of cameras, and just sharing it on Instagram. You see, so he still has that Peter Jackson mentality. He's like, I'm going to share this. I'm going, I don't have to. I'm a big Hollywood director, but I'm still going to do it on my Instagram channel. And that is massive. Some of his films haven't done well in the box office, but I feel like he's got so much kudos with the community that people don't care. They go, no, this guy's just a cool creator, man. We're gonna follow him anyway.
What, Apocalypse Now? Is the documentary is better than the movie?
Sorry?
Apocalypse Now, like the
Apocalypse. Yeah. Well, yeah, they made a whole document. They made a whole movie about making a movie, didn't they?
Yeah. Like that's that was more interesting. That's why
that was hardcore. Yeah. But that's on Winbush's note, though, right? I mean, that's the thing. That was before social media, so there was always a need to share, right? And I feel like there was very specific. If you like, I remember going to Tower Records, and there'll be like normal DVD for The Matrix, and I'll wait a few months later, and there's like the double disc of The Matrix, where it's the second and the third disc. It's all about the making. I'm like, yeah, I'm buying this one.
Yeah.
I don't want to buy just the movie. I want to buy this one. And you know what? I go and watch the making of rather than the movie. And it became something. Like half my DVD collection is all to do with making ofs. So I think it's kind of like early YouTube in a way, in terms of like film school. Because like my film school was watching behind the scenes. Literally. That was my film school. I didn't go to film school.
Well, like I live like this, like my current like framework, right? For the next gen is like you start off as a player, you become a collaborator, and then you become a creator, right? But if we're putting this thread or layer of sharing, the player is sharing their reaction to the content, right? They're sharing that, right? So that's why emergent gameplay is so powerful, because it creates a bunch of stories, right? But then they want that collaboration piece, right? Where it's like I'm interacting with it and I'm sharing. But then they also want the creator to share how it was making that stuff, right? So like every layer has a sharing mechanic, and they're almost sometimes, because it's the emotion. That's what like I get sometimes, like really share. This is what I've been reading lately. If it's about emotions, what creates an emotion, right?
Yeah.
If something's just boring, there's no emotion. Maybe even if you make them angry, that's at least an emotion.
Yeah.
Right? And so like then they'll say something online, right? Or if the movie flopped, but you had this whole drama behind the scenes, emotion, right?
Yep.
Or if you had like a beautiful moment, like playing like AstroBurn, right? You'd be like, and you got to do something in the game and you show it, then it becomes like a collab, and that's another.
That's one of the reasons I created a co-op mode in AstroBurn. Originally, it was a single player game. I decided to do co-op just as an experiment, and I got my partner to play with it, and she doesn't play these sort of games. And I'm going to tell you now, guys, co-op very quickly became competitive. And that was the point, right? All of a sudden, there's a conversation. And it goes way back to my days of playing Street Fighter 2 in the arcades. Like, the minute someone puts a coin in, hits a button, here comes a new challenge. I was like, oh, shit, okay, this is happening now. And everyone will crowd around the arcade and see the players. That's the feeling, man, you know?
Yeah.
Well, those are the subgenres that have like communities for that reason, right? Fighting, like people are like, why is fighting like, because there's a community. Dark Souls community, right? Retro games, right? Like you guys, and right, and even artists, right? I'm always amazed at what's that? It's like people's portfolios up on.
Behance
by Adobe.
Yeah.
Conversations.
It's all about that human emotion aspect, and I feel like that's what a lot of people forget. Like when you're sharing, that's whatever you're creating, that's bringing some type of humanitarian efforts behind it, because people realize like you're a real human being and you do have your struggles. Like you can't always show your wins, right? Like you still have to show the process of you losing. That's more valuable than you always showing like, hey, I made this big amazing game or this 3D asset or whatever. Like people want to see the process, because a lot more people will get value seeing where you fail than just seeing you go through, the whole process. So a lot of people, they'll tell me like, oh yeah, I struggled at that same exact spot. Like, I'm glad I wasn't the only one because I felt dumb for whatever reason. I'm like, no, it's a thing. Like,
That's humanity, man. I'm surprised we're talking about humanity. We're talking about emotion. And Deepak, you haven't even asked the question of the two letters, man.
Oh no.
AI. I mean, I thought this was like a segue leading moment.
I love AI in the sense it helps me learn. I'm a reverse engineer like you, so like that's why I like AI, but like and it helps me go faster. But I'm not one of those that are like it's going to replace the social connections and what people are looking for.
So Tilly Norwood. So that everyone's talking about Tilly Norwood, right? The AI actress that's going to be rep by a big Hollywood agency, and it's causing a ripple in the industry. Like, what are your thoughts?
Hot takes, hot takes. I mean, because I was intrigued by is it VTubing
Oh
for a
yeah.
moment, right? So
Mm-hmm.
like, I get it. But that to me is just another. I'll bring it back full circle. That's just another brand, and we're already in oversaturated land, right?
Mm.
So like, there'll be people who like it. It's just another brand. There are people who will like still real human connections. Like my favorite sci-fi's is like when they show something trivial and that's like the thing that's made it to the apocalypse. Like you got paper, you get paper.
right.
There's an audience and that's your brand. You sell illegal paper, the few resources. I think it's the hard part is like you said it yourself. Like it's so hard to build that community, and people want either shortcuts or Winbush, like they're afraid because of that vulnerability, or they're introverted like you, me, right? Like I assume you're
I'm
not.
introverted. I can
Yeah,
be
yeah.
introverted.
You're
Oh, no.
introverted until you're around other introverts.
Yeah.
Then
Yes, exactly.
Uh, yeah, like it's just it's those hurdles that are so hard, and Hollywood execs like I feel sometimes I feel for big companies because they get to do things that I wouldn't make because they have the money, and I
Mm.
love those spectacles, but they have to still do the grassroots. But so I feel for that because it's like a different. They have to build it one by one, just like you and me, in some level, until they have like some kind of IP. So IP can be a shortcut. It still
Mm.
doesn't guarantee success. If it's crap, they'll even tell you more. It's crap. You have something recognizable.
IP is a big thing though, like, and we start seeing more and more why we have remakes, right? There's a reason why remakes exist, because they look at the data and go, okay, this worked back then. We want it, and there's two reasons people do remakes. One is because it's success from the previous version, and they reboot it, or they do a franchise, or they do sequels, or it's such an old thing, but they want to reintroduce it to today's generation. If you look at Blade Runner, right, one of my favorite movies, when that movie came out in 1982, it was a flop, right? It was flop, like almost ruined Ridley Scott's career. There's loads of stuff online that shows that he was getting editorial notes from executive guy. This is kind of crap. What is this? It makes no sense. Which is why we have the voiceover version, because people didn't understand the subtext or the nuance of looking at someone's face having thought. They go, no, we've got to hear him say something. And then now we've well, most recently we had the new Blade Runner movie. There's Blade Runner series. They made a Blade Runner anime, and there's going to be more stuff, right? They're shooting the series at the moment, or it's finished, and that is basically them saying let's reintroduce that franchise into today's generation, right? It's the same with games, reintroducing new games for today's generation. So that's powerful. That's a lot of IP. So that leaves the question of like, what about original IP? Where's that going to live now? How much percentage is original IP? Because back in the 80s, it was like the more batshit crazy, the better. The more. This is why we have a Steven Seagal's, why we have the Chuck Norris's. We have those because it's like new and different. It's subversive. Whereas today, it's like let's play it safe, guys. John Wick did this amount. We're going to do another John Wick type movie. Let's doing more Star Wars because we just know it works. Let's pick one original IP and we'll bet on that. You know, and that's the mentality. So, which is why I feel like technology going full circle now. What we said earlier on this call, and which is like, you know, we now have the ability to make stuff, but also we now have the ability to distribute ourselves. You know, that's a big thing. And when I say distribution, I don't mean like set up Warner Brothers or anything. It's more like you can put your stuff out on Meta Horizon and people will play it. That's a form of distribution, right? You don't have to go through some gatekeeping apart from some moderation. Fortnite, Roblox, put your stuff out on Steam, whatever. You can do that now. It's more work, but you can if you want to do that, you know? And I feel like that's something people have to remember. Like the only way we're going to get original content is through indies. That's the reality.
Yeah.
Because the price makes sense,
Right.
Because that's follow the money, is like my dad would say, follow the money. Like the problem is like when you make X budget for a big Hollywood movie or game, then you have different expectations.
Yeah.
But the problem is if you start small, then you have to also start small, building like Winbush did, right? You build your community and it takes time, and you just keep building, and that's our because people want the fame, like going back to how generations are.
Yeah.
Without the work, some people they'll see some people get skilled or lucky, however you want to define it, right? Um, they're like, why mine is better. I probably said that myself. I've been a couple like my craft's better than that. Oh my god!
but I think I think you hit something though, like in terms of like the dedication it takes to build something. You know, that's a skill to take your time and build something and like really craft it. Like everyone assumes you get community from day one. Absolutely not. This stuff takes like everyone goes, oh yeah, but like that game Baltro, you know, the card game that's sold really like the solo developer who made it.
Yeah,
And I was like, oh my god, solo developer made it. Oh, it made millions in a week. We could do that too, right? And how hard can it be? We're like, whoa, hold up. First off, the guy was building his community, but most importantly, people forget that the publisher did a phenomenal job with the marketing. It was phenomenal. They did the most avant-garde advertising you can ever think for a card game. So people forget that there's a big element of marketing and PR involved in getting a game like. And then people talk about Baldur's Gate. Oh yeah, but look at Baldur's Gate. We're going to make the next Baldur's Gate. Are you though? Because like Baldur's Gate took a while to get where it was today. Or No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky came out. Everyone hated it. It sucked. Blah blah. They redeemed themselves very quickly through community. Cyberpunk's another one, right? Redeemed itself through community. Yeah, I mean, developers were getting death threats on that game. You know, I've still got the PS4 version, the most buggiest, but it redeemed itself. And I feel like there's a lot of like today again. It's not like I'm like hammering at a young generation because like my brother's got kids, but like I feel like today's generations is embracing AI for main reason like it gets something done quicker. I'm going to use AI to get something done quicker. Like, yeah, that's cool, but there's something about putting in the work, putting in the graft, you know. And I worry for the new generation not understanding what it's like to put in the graft. Yeah, ran over.
Because they only see the end result of where everybody's at today. I mean, I'm sure you guys all know Marquez Brownlee, right? MKBHD. Yep. So he was on NPR a couple years ago. I listened to a lot of NPR, but they were asking him because he's like one of the first tech YouTubers, if not the first one, right? Like he's been doing it since he was like 14 years old. But like it took him a long time to get to where he was at because he was like, yeah, I'm patient. Like I realized like I just love doing tech reviews. This is what I like. Yeah, people came after me and they blew up or whatever, like Linus and stuff like that. But he was like, sometimes you can't look at where other people are at. Like he had his own set path. He's patient and he was able to, you know, take advantage of that. Now he's like, what, 20 million plus on YouTube and stuff like that. But it's like sometimes people forget, like, you see the end result, but that might have been like 15 years of work to get to that end stage. So you're only seeing the here and now. You don't see what it took to actually get there.
Absolutely.
All right. Now I'm going to start rapid fire.
Yeah, guys.
Yeah, go
20 minutes later.
All right. One prediction about traditional media in 3 years. Go. Rapid fire. First thing.
generative AI. It's going to be the most advanced generative AI. We're going to see full 92-minute feature films being done, and the legal gray area hopefully sorted.
Jonathan.
I think we're actually going to go into a reverse. I feel like because I have kids, right, and I see from them that they're enamored with how life was before the internet in the '90s, and they grew up in an age where they only know social media and the internet and everything that's there right now, and they keep asking me like, life hasn't always been like this, right? And I'm just like, no, we grew up around the beginning stages of it, and they've actually gone like it's romanticized right now, like how the '90s were, and I feel like the younger generation are kind of yearning to go with that slower pace, and like actually movie rental stores are starting to pop up again because they want to know what it's like to actually go rent a VHS. So I feel like there might be a renaissance there to where, yeah, technologically we are advancing at rapid paces, but sometimes I think, that's not always for the best. Like people want to kind of slow down a little bit. Let's see, we might see, like some type of I don't, not like a revolt, but kind of like people are like, hey, we get it, but let's slow down a little bit. Like let's chill out.
Coolest immersive project you've seen recently that blew your mind?
Immersive? Does it have to be like VR when you say immersive, or
When I say immersive, it could be mobile, it could be VR, it could be whatever immersive means to you.
I mean, I guess for me, it's the new Silent Hill F game that my partner's playing. That I thought I was freaked out playing Silent Hill on the PS1 and then Silent Hill 2, but this is redefined horror in an immersive way. For example, the game has no heads-up display; it's full screen cinematic, right? But the tension, the horror, the sound, the simplicity of just spatial awareness from an immersive experience, holy crap, blew my mind. So yeah, Silent Hill F on a PS5.
Jonathan?
yeah, I'm a good at gaming as well because I game a lot. But yesterday, the Marvel Cosmic Invasion demo just came out, and yeah, but even though it's only like a 2 level demo, I've been playing it nonstop because, like, when I think of video games, it's a way to immerse yourself into that character for that point in time, kind of like HaZ was saying with Silent Hill F. So, yeah, I know a lot of people think like immersion is VR and all this other these other devices. But I think that anytime you could transport yourself into the medium, that's immersion. So my medium would be video games.
Fill in the blank. In 5 years, the biggest entertainment hit will be.
I will say Jonathan Winbush and Method Man present Escape from New York City on the Meta Horizons platform.
Dude, I'm so gonna just rip that as well. I think for me, it's gonna be I've redefined the world of retro in cinema, television, and video games combined. We're gonna see so much retro content, and I feel like AstroBurn's beginning. So 5 years time, we're gonna see more AstroBurn style games. So selfish, I know.
No, I love it. I love it. Jonathan, thank you so much for being on the show. Thank you so
Oh,
much for
thank you,
bringing
man.
energy. Don't forget to follow them. We'll put their links in the description. Please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time and keep those conversations with creators going.
All
Later.
right, y'all. Appreciate you. Thank you.